Today I'm going to be comparing Castle Art's 120 Premium Soft Touch Colored Pencils to Arteza 120 Expert Colored Pencils. I'm going to be coloring an image from my book Everyday Magic Artist's Edition, and I'll try and figure which pencils are the best for coloring. I chose pencils from each set that are close in color. For instance, right here, I chose kind of a dark periwinkle in each set. Straight away, the colors are more transparent than they would be in the considerably more expensive sets, but that's to be expected. You can see that the first one I'm using is Arteza. The barrel of the pencil indicates the colors and shows me that the lead should actually be a little bit darker, but it's lighter than I thought compared to the barrel color. I'll also be judging blendability, color variety, color vibrancy and pigment, and overall ease of use. The colors on the barrel of both sets were relatively accurate. There were one or two that didn't quite fit, and this periwinkle is one of them. No big deal. I wouldn't go nuts. Both sets come with color charts and easy enough to find out. The yellows in both sets are pretty similar in feel and are pretty dense and have actually relatively good coverage. The browns and the greens, funny enough, are more transparent. And if I was going to compare this set with these sets to more expensive sets, I would say that the Artezas are more like Prismacolors, but with a much harder lead. They somehow managed to have a much more creamy and smooth feel, whereas the Castle Art pencils are a little drier and a little more velvety feeling, similar to my favorite set, the Polychromos pencils. Like I said before, both sets are more transparent than the Polys or the Prismas, and they are both wax-based pencils, so I felt like this was a really interesting comparison to do. At this point in coloring both of these acorns, I'm on 2 or 3 layers on the top and the bottom of the acorns. I would say that I'm able to get a bit more layers with the Castle Art pencils so far. Here's the dark brown. I would say able to go over everything a little bit better with the darker colors, especially in this case, the brown with the Castle Art pencils. And you know what? I feel like I'm saying all these things in favor of Castle Art, where it's such a little tiny thing that either set would be nice. The other thing that I noticed is that the pencils do feel different in your hand. The Arteza pencil felt slightly heavier. I wasn't sure if it was my imagination because they do have different textures. The Arteza pencil is shiny and glossy, and the Castle Art pencil is matte, except for the very end cap where there's a shiny tip that indicates the color of the pencil. I took a look, and the lead sizes are different, so that probably had to do with the weight of the pencil. Not the best picture in the world. Arteza's on the left, and you can see that the Arteza lead is considerably thicker than the Castle Art's lead. The Castle Art's leads are slightly thinner, and they do, in my humble opinion, sharpen up to this deadly sharp point, and they are slightly more brittle, and the pencils have a little tiny bit more fallout than the really sturdy leaded, the lead is thicker Arteza pencils. They're both pretty good at keeping a point. I think the leads in both sets are hard enough, and I would have to call that a tie for creating details in images. I jumped here to flowers. I wanted to make the first flower strictly out of Arteza pencils. The colors are bold and pretty. There's a variety of pinks. The yellow was buttery and creamy. And I did put several layers, and even the lighter pinks, I had no problem going over the top of other colors here. An interesting thing about Arteza pencils is that they look more blended sooner. There's a very smooth look to the area that you lay down with color. And then when I jumped over to the Castle Arts, it was very similar. I wasn't coloring a big area, but even the colors were very similar. If I had to choose one, it's so close. It's truly so close. I might say that the Castle Arts are slightly more pigmented than the Arteza pencils, but the Arteza pencils are creamier and they look more blended earlier in your art. I do think you might be able to get a little bit, a few more layers in with the Castle Arts pencil. As you can see, both flowers look very similar. And I couldn't say, I'm looking at them right now. I can't say one looks more vibrant or one looks softer, or I had no problem with either pencil. I do think that this kind of situation is also something that you would have to try a few maybe. I don't even know. You know what? Let me look if you can get these separate, meaning in open stock. Be right back. Okay, after my internet search, it looks like neither pencil is available on open stock. So you'll either have to go by the reviews that you find on YouTube or buy a small set and give them a whirl. I don't think you can go wrong with either set, but there definitely are some differences. I wanted to test out some of the reds here. Both sets, as you can see, have very vibrant colors. I can't say either set is as pigmented as Prismacolor or Polychromos, but for the price, they do an incredible job. But the texture is different. Once again, Castle Arts, a little bit drier and finer, and Arteza, creamier and smoother. There's a color chart on the back of the Arteza box, and since there's not one on the Castle Art box, I'm going to put mine below if you want to download it. It's in the information box. Funny enough, the pencil is thicker and they do feel different in your hand. I probably like the way the Arteza pencils feel better in my hand, but that's just basically because I think that I'm used to holding an Apple eye pencil, and it feels very similar. Here are two greens, although they're not the same, they're serving the same purpose. I wanted to see if I could lay down some green and actually get a very pretty, realistic looking leaf with several colors, and which one would work better. The Arteza's on the right and the Castle Arts is on the left. I wanted to see if I could make a relatively realistic leaf, and both sides, I would say, came out equal. Both probably about the same transparencies for all of the colors that I happen to choose here. Like I said before, both of the pencils are wax-based, and the Castle Art pencils are not tested for light fastness. The Arteza pencils are, and the light fastness is listed on each pencil with little crosses, and it goes from, I think it's 1 to 3. And I also wanted to tell you that there's no metallics in either set. I know that Polychromos has some metallics and also has some fluorescent-ish kind of colors. Now you can see that both sets made these leaves look really pretty. I tried to choose very similar colors. It takes a bit longer to build the color with either of these sets than it would with the Prismas or the Polys because of that transparency factor. But they are much better than Crayola or Prang. The Castle Art 120 set is $54.99 on Amazon, or $59, and it comes with 2 sketchbooks. It also comes, well, I'll get back to that in a second. The Arteza is $77 for the metallic tin. Now, there was a difference, in my humble opinion, in the packaging. The Arteza packaging did feel better, meaning their tin was better. But now the Arteza put out these new, their zip-up sets. Let me see if I have a picture. Hold on. It's a zip-up, cushiony, padded holder, like a lot of people transfer their pencils into to begin with. You can get that for a couple extra dollars, and I think personally that it's worth it. Yeah, so any discrepancy there was because of packaging. They have definitely made up for it. And they would still be $13 cheaper than the Artezas in the tin. So yeah, that gets a huge thumbs up from me. What else did I want to talk about? So yeah, the Artezas are very blendable. And I would say the leads are above average in hardness. Oh, you know what? Let me get to this for 1 second. I wanted to check and test blendability. So the first one I just blended with my favorite Luminance pencil. I would say they were both pretty much the same. Maybe the Arteza a little bit better with the Luminance pencil. With the Turpenoid, the Castle Arts blended better. You can see that I'm still working on the Arteza, and it never really got that smooth look that the Castle Arts did. Now here was something interesting too. I took this Faber-Castell Eraser and wanted to test erasability. Well, we learned 2 things here. That eraser's not great, and I don't like to say very bad things, but I would not recommend that eraser. I would say they would both, well, I would say that the Arteza is a little bit more erasable, and then I took, what is that called? Like a shapeable eraser. And it really didn't do much. Once again, I think that Arteza lifted a little bit better. And then I wanted to see, well, I think I picked the wrong colors here because yellow and purple basically cancel each other out. But I wanted to see the gradient factor. Could these blend together very, very well? And actually both of them did really well. So I don't have a problem with either of those pencils. I ended up going over the top, and you could see how nice they both blended together. Back to the Arteza, I would say the tin packaging is nicer. It's a little more sturdy, and there is a color chart on the back with the names and the numbers. Castle Art, I love the new packaging. The zip carrier is worth the extra dollars. And the price for these for this set, in my opinion, is amazing for the quality. I did a little bit of a test here. I just wanted to see how they would be affected by water. These are not watercolor pencils, but both sets did blend out a tiny bit. So which was my favorite, the Arteza or the Castle Art set? I tried to be completely fair, considering the Polychromos pencils are my favorite pencils, and the Castle Arts pencils reminded me a bit more of the Polychromos versus Prismacolor. So if I was going to rate them from 1 to 10, I would probably give both sets an 8.5. The prices are great. From the review, you could tell why I liked some, why I liked the other. And I know it didn't seem like a big deal when I said the pencils felt better in my hand from the Arteza, but how they feel in your hand, how you interact with them is a big deal. So it was very hard for me. So trying to still be objective, I would probably choose the Castle Arts just because of, and that's by such a teeny tiny margin, and you would really have to choose yourself. You would some of you might think I was crazy because you think Castle art is so much creamier and nicer, and I think it's just like somebody would have a preference for Prismacolors or Polychromos. So I don't think you can go wrong with either of these sets, and I would definitely give them a thumbs up. Once again, they're not as transparent, they're not as opaque as the more expensive sets, but I don't know how they possibly could be for the incredible prices that they're charging for either one of these sets. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other requests, if you want to see me compare other sets, please let me know, because I really like doing these. I think they're a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. And if any of you have little ones in your lives, you can go check out my other channel, Doodlebug Art. I'll put the information below. And you can check out my new book, Thumbkins in the Wild. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye.